It should come as no surprise to you that our planet is in a very bad shape. And I'm going to tell you how that is also affecting our health.
How is our sick planet making us sick? This is the University of the Netherlands.
Many of us take nature for granted. We see flowers blooming and we don't think twice about it. But for every flower that blooms and every fruit that we eat, there are pollinators, bees at work. We take the rain for granted, but that rain makes our garden and farms lush and green. All these flowers, fruits, and rain allow us to live healthy lives, contribute to our welfare and well-being, and even inspire our art and sciences. So nature is valuable. And the question is, should we put an economic price on nature? So what is the value of nature? Scientists have seen that if you look at nature and value it for the year 2007, it is worth $125 trillion for the year 2007. And in that year, it was worth more than twice the global gross domestic product. So although we depend on nature, we are also destroying nature. And this is sad because the sick planet makes us sick. Let me explain how sick our planet is. Now, our planet is actually an interlinked system with land and water and oceans all interconnected. But it's easier to explain the story by talking about atmosphere, biodiversity, oceans, land, and water. Now, if you look at atmosphere, the biggest problem is climate change. Already, the average global temperature has increased by 1 degree centigrade in relation to pre-industrial times. And this means that the glaciers are melting, the sea level is rising, the hydrological patterns of rainfall are changing, and we are exposed to extreme weather events. In terms of atmosphere, we also have two other problems: urban air pollution and rural household pollution. Many cities across the world are choked because of the environmental pollution in those cities. At the same time, rural households in developing countries often use traditional stoves to cook their food. And this basically means that they're exposing themselves to household air pollution. If you look at biodiversity, we are in the middle of the 6th worst extinction event. All kinds of species are dying out. We are overfishing our oceans. Our bees are affected. All kinds of large animals are being pushed out. And not only that, because the oceans are also affected by climate change, this means that the breeding grounds for fish are being affected. So not only are we overfishing, but climate change will have an impact on the fish populations. And of course, our oceans have turned into a plastic soup because all our plastic eventually ends up in these oceans. And if you look at land, land is increasingly being degraded. We keep deforesting land in order to grow plants for biofuels or for our meat industry or for exotic plants that we want to buy from far-off places. And this basically means that we take more out of the land than we put back into the land, and that leads to the degradation of the existing land. If you look at water, Well, we are taking out clean water and throwing out dirty water. We're taking out water from under the ground faster than it can be replenished by rainwater. And this often leads land to sink as a consequence. The bottom line is that climate change and biodiversity are two areas in which we are crossing planetary boundaries. And this makes our planet sick, which affects us. If you look at climate change and just take the example of extreme weather events, between 2005 and 2015, 7 million people died as a consequence of extreme weather events, and 1.7 billion people were affected by this. If you look at air pollution, well, urban air pollution and household air pollution cause about 7 million people to die annually. Water pollution causes 1.4 million people to die annually. Land degradation affects 3.2 billion people, their lives and their livelihoods. So, how do we solve the problem of a sick planet? To solve this